Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report. I'm Charles Firth, and with me today is none other than Dominic Knight.
Hello, Charles. What a surprise for me to be here on our podcast.
And don't you think that you are in the best mood I think I've ever seen you in?
You know, I'm loving life. I'm pumped.
Yes.
I'm ready for 2023. Bring it on. I reckon that's going to be the year everything is better. And I know I said that about 2021 after the pandemic. I think I said it after the bushfires in 2019 as well for 2020. I definitely said it about 2022 that, you know, we're all vaccinated now, hot vax summer. We're going to see the end of this. And as COVID cases increase, and a lot of my colleagues at various jobs are out sick with COVID again, and the Prime Minister has COVID now, Albo's got COVID. It's beaten. We've finally beaten COVID-19. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not a problem as long as you just ignore any data. Just take what I like to call the Dominic Perrottet approach, or really any administrator anywhere, then it's over. We've won.
The New York Times has a little graph which shows the countries where COVID's most exploding. And deep purple is like the worst of the worst.
Yes, it's true in rock and roll as well.
And And Australia is one of the few countries in the world to be deep purple at the moment.
I actually quite like deep purple. I just wanted to make that joke. Yes, of course we are. And part of that, to be fair, is because we did so well initially that when it came, it absolutely smashed us. But it's also because we've just stopped.
Yeah.
We've just, I should be wearing a mask in the lift here, but I didn't do that.
No, but Dom, isn't it in your interests to see the spread of COVID?
Is it?
Because one of the jobs that you do is you fill in for people on ABC Radio.
I can't possibly discuss that. No, that's not a thing I don't. They're two different people.
Whenever they get COVID, you get a job for a week.
No, that's a different Dominic Knight that's with a similar voice to me. It's very confusing and embarrassing. And
but you haven't single-handedly been going around spreading COVID in the ABC, have you?
Well, let me ask you this question, Charles. If you were anybody else, would you want to be in close proximity to me? No. No, I haven't. I know but it's just everywhere again. I can't. This is looking exactly the same as last year. Well, not quite in that Omicron. You know, none of us had it, but yeah, it's not looking great. Still, 2023 is going to be different. I don't know why we would think that, but I'm going to think it anyway. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Look, a lot of people are saying that Trump is going to be jailed by May 2023. Like there's several commentators have now said. I think even John Barron was saying
because that's not my understanding, Charles. My understanding is he's going to be president any moment. What they're going to do is
they're going to get rid of the
Constitution. They're going to suspend the Constitution and appoint him. And look, let's just jump into this because this is very, very important. Very, very important. I'm just keen to read what he said on Truth Social. I love that his website, like, you don't post a tweet, you post a truth. Everything that he says, it's just a truth. You can't argue that it's untrue because the brand name of every single statement is a truth.
It's a truth, TM.
Am I going to do my terrible Donald Trump impression? No.
Yes.
So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception in working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and the Democrat Party, do you throw out the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner, or do you have a new election? Okay, I'm sick of it. A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, Charles. Our great founders did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections. Now, Charles, do you know what the revelation is that has led Donald Trump to call for the US Constitution to be suspended and for him to be installed as the rightful president? Do you know what the revelation was?
I don't know. I'm actually not across that part of it, the story.
Okay. You've heard of Hunter Biden's laptop?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So Hunter Biden put a laptop into a repair shop somewhere in Delaware.
In Delaware.
That had lots of dodgy images on it and receipts and all that kind of stuff. Apparently what happened was, and the journalist Matt Taibbi, who's actually a great journalist, investigated all this stuff, and Elon Musk shared it as the Twitter tapes or whatever it was. Elon Musk got very agitated about this. What happened was, on the laptop, there was a picture of Hunter Biden naked doing something dubious. Who knows what it was. And Twitter refused. I think Twitter took down the tweet.
Well, it was revenge porn style.
It was a revenge
sort
porn.
of thing. Posting it was essentially you were posting it to humiliate Hunter Biden.
Yes, and the computer technician accessed a client's files and leaked them on the internet, which is not hugely ethical.
No.
And what was revealed was that the Biden campaign had asked Twitter to take the posts down, and Twitter had
agreed.
So they had a policy on not. Well, they had a policy, they probably don't anymore, on not publishing hacked documents. You can't just put up revenge porn.
Yes.
And Elon Musk said that was a complete violation of the First Amendment and was outrageous. And people seem to think, and a lot of commentators, had a lot of people who are agitated about this, seem to think that in the second half of 2020, Biden was already president. He wasn't. Donald Trump was the president back then. So it wasn't exactly as though the US government was ordering Twitter to take down things. It was the Biden campaign.
Yes.
The lack of opportunity to see Hunter Biden's cock is the reason why Donald Trump should be immediately installed as president.
But
right now.
When you read ancient history and stuff like that, and it's always some sort of small detail that leads to the collapse of the Roman Empire.
Have you seen it? Is it small?
But I'm just saying, this could well be the little, it's always just the straw that broke the camel's back.
It's the butterfly that flaps its wings.
Yes, and so what I'm saying is maybe that is the spark that causes the collapse of American democracy.
Well, but you say the collapse. I mean, others would say the rightful restoration.
Yes.
I mean, from Donald Trump's perspective, it does seem unfair. Because in 2016, he didn't win the popular vote in the election and became president.
Yes.
And broke all sorts of rules and so on, didn't release tax returns, all that stuff, and became president. Why should the rules be different in 2020? Why should he, again, lose the popular vote and not get to be president?
Does he risk, though, alienating more people by sort of calling... isn't the right side of politics... Don't they just always go on about, my constitution, isn't that the one thing that those people love? The founding fathers was, unimpeachable and, nothing that, they're set in stone.
You're asking for consistency rather than simply tailoring their sort of absolute views and ideology to whatever that is politically convenient.
Yeah.
It's just the Mitch McConnell thing. And look, a lot of prominent Republicans have been asked about this. I think George Stephanopoulos asked one of them on TV, are you really saying you're not going to criticise someone who's literally called for the Constitution to be ripped up and to be installed as president? And this senator or whoever it was just like, I'm going to support the nominee, whoever the nominee is. I'm a Republican. That's what we do. And yes, it's an interesting thing. I mean, the coup, the actual coup that happened on January the 6th, I don't want to get it all steamed up. It just was a coup. It was an attempted coup.
Yes.
Just literally an attempted coup. They tried to stop the certification of the votes for Biden.
Yes.
That's just been sort of glossed over. And now we have him literally calling for tearing up the Constitution.
In fairness, though, the coup was very incompetently run.
It was.
Have
they learnt nothing from the CIA?
That's right.
Why didn't he get the CIA? He was the president. He could have ordered the CIA to do it.
Well, I think part of it wasn't the professionalism of people like the Secret Service and Mike Pence were the things that was stopping him on the day.
There was the whole story.
Because he wanted to go. Trump wanted to go down,
and the Secret Service wouldn't let him.
Yeah,
apparently. Although he denies that.
But wouldn't have his bone spurs stopped him from storming the barricade?
Well, I think it's true that he said, let's go down to the Capitol right now. And then they all went and he just went back to the White House.
Really?
He literally called them in his speech at the Rotunda on that day. Let's go down to the Capitol right now. And then just fucked off back to the safety of the White House, to the cheeseburger room. But I can understand why he wants to get back to the room where there's a button on his desk for a Diet Coke. If someone could just arrange for him to have that same button at Mar-a-Lago, he wouldn't run.
The Chaser Report. Less news, more often.
So as we record this now, Dom, the fate of the American empire holds in the balance because there's a runoff in Georgia.
Yes.
And Herschel Walker, who's the guy who was the anti-abortion guy who paid for all his girlfriend's abortions.
Yes, he's pro-abortion except only for himself, it turns out.
And also he's had a whole lot of domestic, sort of sexual assault charges levelled at him.
And lives in Texas, apparently. At one point he admitted that.
Oh, really?
He doesn't even live in Georgia.
Right. Yeah, right.
Apparently.
Okay. So that candidate, he only got 49.7% of the vote, so didn't quite squeeze through that unimpeachable character, and is up against a Democrat. And, like the whole system hangs in the balance, doesn't it? Because if he wins, then the Republicans... do they have a...
No, it actually doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter. So he's up against... This is the hilarious thing about this. You were talking about whether Republicans actually follow their principles.
Yes.
They're running against... The guy they're running against, Reverend Raphael Warnock, is the preacher from Martin Luther King's church.
Right.
Like he is...
Yes.
He's a Christian pastor.
Yes.
And instead they've put up against him this basic serial philanderer who runs away from his...
But all the Christians
kids.
are turning out for the serial philanderer.
They're voting for Herschel Walker. Of course they are. And instead of but it doesn't matter who wins. This is the 51st vote. So the Democrats have 50.
Yes.
This will give them 51.
This will just mean that Kamala Harris can go and
right now
do other things.
Kamala Harris has to break the deadlock.
Yes.
If they win this one, that she can do other things. She can go and be ineffective elsewhere. Yes.
Hand out bottles of water in Haiti.
But it's not going to matter because when Donald Trump returns as rightful president,
when they suspend the Constitution,
she's not going to still be there.
No,
but she's going to be in jail, I presume.
Yes,
Biden will be in jail. The Biden crime family.
Yes,
and you can't tell me there's going to be a U.S. Senate. Why would Donald Trump put up with a U.S. Senate when he's president again? You wouldn't do that.
If you suspended, what would you do if you suspended the American Constitution? Like what are the institutions that you'd set up instead?
Well, I think the thing is, you've got to look at the countries that are his model. And sort of places like the Philippines.
North Korea.
The Philippines has notional democracy, but it's basically run by kind of strongman characters.
Donald Trump actually just very recently announced that he wanted to do the Duterte policy of killing drug dealers through vigilantism.
Or by literally throwing them out of the door of a helicopter. That's another thing he's done in the past.
Yeah.
Yes, vigilantism you'd have. It's bread and circuses, though. It's like the Roman emperors. So Trump is a Roman emperor. He's decadent. He eats a lot, all that sort of stuff. So you give them, I think, cheeseburgers. You know that image of him with all the plates of cheeseburgers for the football players? Yeah, that's for everyone gets free cheeseburgers. And the circuses, I think it's just going to be a Colosseum with the Democrats in it.
I have always said that the Philippines politics is always about 5 or 6 years ahead of American politics.
Absolute innovation.
But hasn't Philippines politics returned to a Marcos era style?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. So
I mean,
what does that...
Trump is the Marcos of America, so he's going to be his own. Rather than putting a son in a couple of decades later, he's just going to put in himself. Yes. Yeah, and that will be great. I mean, they'll have. What I think they'll do is put high-ranking Democrats. Obviously, Hillary Clinton will be the first in a Colosseum with lions. I think it'll be live streamed on Fox News.
Yes,
and you'll be able to bet on how many minutes it takes. And I don't think it'll take many minutes. And Trump will be there, thumbs up or thumbs down. I think he'd love that. I mean, he wouldn't be good at governing the country, but he'd be amazing at the showmanship of you're fired. It's like the boardroom on The Apprentice.
Yes. And then what happens is Elon like the chief information officer? Like, does he?
Yes. Well, I presume Twitter becomes the only allowed organ of the state.
Well, surely it would be Truth Social.
Truth Social. That's true. Very awkward.
Pravda, like. There is real parallels because Pravda means truth in Russia, doesn't it?
That's true. So
he's
Pravda social.
It's very prefigurative.
So there you go. So it's going to be great, is what I'm saying. So as I said, Charles, 2023, best ever. And if Donald Trump ends up in jail by May, his supporters will just have to storm the jail.
Yes. I feel like this is not going to play out the way. Like, I have a feeling they're not going to suspend the Constitution. I have a feeling that the actual sadness of the midterms is that the left have all gone and the Democrats have all gone, oh, that's a relief. We didn't get, taken over by essentially Nazis. And it'll be in 2 years' time that, because they will just relax in 2 years' time, that's when it'll all be a disaster.
Well, the thing is, Donald Trump probably won't be the nominee. I think he's just taken too much. We're going to be real about it.
Ron
It'll be Ron DeSantis.
Ron
DeSanctimonious, yeah. Who is basically as extreme as Donald Trump, but far more competent and not completely hobbled by narcissism. So he'll go in and actually manage to succeed in implementing the policies that Trump would have liked to and failed at.
So you know that and this is true, there is a sort of conspiracy theory going around the email networks of Florida that amongst evangelicals that Ron DeSantis is in fact a saint. He's
really?
In fact
an actual saint?
An angel sent by God to implement God's mission on earth.
Well, that would explain it. Look, it's a more plausible idea than Donald Trump being the avenging angel that saves us from the pedophile rings under Q. I mean, the guy literally used to go into the change rooms of all of his contestants for Miss Universe. I mean, I think Ron DeSanctimonious is looking much more Christ-like. But then again, it may be Donald Trump who has his second coming.
Our gear is from Rode. We're part of the Acast Creator Network. Catch you tomorrow.